Let's begin with the definition of reproduction. Formation of new organism of the same species by earlier existing organism is called reproduction. So every species will give rise to another organism of its own species. That is, human beings will give rise to human beings and cats will give rise to cats. So new organism is formed and it is formed from an existing organism. It is one of the important characteristic of living organisms. So it is one of the important characteristics of living organisms, and though it is not required for an organism to remain alive, but to continue the species, this is a very important characteristic. It is one of the various reasons for evolution of each species. Modes of reproduction. There are two modes or ways in which an organism can reproduce. These are asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So these are the two modes of reproduction. Asexual reproduction is a process of formation of new organism of the same species without involvement of gametes, and hence the new organism has exact genetic similarity with the parent. So we have seen that asexual reproduction, only one parent is involved, and that one single organism gets divided into two new organisms or daughter cells are formed from it. So asexual reproduction does not require gametes, and that an organism of the same species is formed without the involvement of gametes. And due to this, the genetic material of the parent and the offspring or the new daughter cells that are going to be formed is going to be exactly alike. So since the genetic material is alike, we will find that the new daughter cells are exact replicas of the parent cell. This is uniparental reproduction and occurs by mitosis. So this is uniparental, that is only one parent is involved in this type of reproduction, and the method of cell division is mitosis. Absence of genetic recombination is a drawback, whereas fast reproduction is an advantage of this method of reproduction. This is very important, that absence of genetic recombination, because there is only one parent, there are no gametes here which are involved in asexual reproduction, and so there is no genetic recombination. The genetic material from parent is directly transferred to the daughter cells. So there is no genetic recombination, there is no crossing over, nothing taking place here, and hence we will find that this lack of variation is a drawback. Whereas fast reproduction, the rate of reproduction, if we see in organisms that reproduce by asexual method, is very, very fast, and that is why that is an advantage to this method of reproduction. In sexual reproduction, we find that the rate of reproduction is comparatively slower, but due to variations and diversity, we find that those organisms which reproduce by sexual method have a greater advantage. So this is asexual reproduction. Diagrammatic representation we have already seen, but just to revise, here we have one single parent cell which undergoes DNA replication, that is the chromosomes, they duplicate and the genetic material increases. This further undergoes mitosis, the four phases that we have studied under mitosis, that is prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, which is followed by cytokinesis, and we get two diploid cells. So diploid cells are those cells in which we find that the chromosome number remains the same as the parent cell, that is 2n number of chromosomes we are going to find, and there are going to be two diploid cells which are going to be daughter cells which are going to be formed. Importance of variations. Variations, as we saw, will take place only in sexual reproduction because two individuals are involved in it. So there are certain advantages of these variations. Firstly, variations give rise to variety and diversity. So because in sexual reproduction two parents are involved and the gametes from two different organisms fuse to give rise to a zygote, which eventually develops into a new individual, the individual will be very different from the parents. So it will give rise to a lot of variety and diversity. We see that no two organisms are similar. There are so many differences between them. No two human beings or real siblings except for twins are similar. So this introduces a lot of variety and diversity. Enables organisms to adapt and survive in changing environment. So these variations are very essential to make an organism better suitable to the changing environment in which he is living. Prevents from complete extinction of species. So due to variations, it is possible that we have continued our race since so long, and it has played a very important role in preventing the extinction of any species. So these are some of the advantages of variations which we find in sexual reproduction.